Tiziano Vecellio, better known in English as Titian, was one of the greatest painters of the Italian Renaissance. He was born around 1488 or 1490 in Pieve di Cadore, a small town near Belluno in northern Italy. Throughout his long life, he became the leading artist of the Venetian Renaissance and one of the most influential painters in Western art history. Titian was famous for his remarkable ability to paint many different subjects. He created powerful portraits, beautiful landscapes, religious scenes, and mythological stories with equal skill. His extraordinary use of color became one of the defining features of his art and influenced countless painters for centuries after his death. His success began early and continued throughout his entire career. Wealthy merchants, noble families, church leaders, emperors, and kings all competed to obtain his paintings. Alongside Giorgione, Titian helped establish the Venetian school of painting, which became famous across Europe for its rich colors and emotional depth. Although the exact year of his birth remains uncertain, most modern historians believe he was born between 1488 and 1490. His father, Gregorio Vecellio, was involved in military and business activities and belonged to a respected local family. The Vecellio family was well established in the Cadore region and enjoyed a comfortable social position. As a young boy, Titian was sent to Venice, the artistic center of the region. There he began his artistic training and learned from several important painters. According to historical accounts, he first studied under Sebastiano Zuccato before entering the workshop of Gentile Bellini and later Giovanni Bellini, who was considered the greatest Venetian painter of the time. While living in Venice, Titian met several talented young artists who would later become famous themselves. Among them were Giorgione, Lorenzo Lotto, and Sebastiano Luciani. These friendships and rivalries helped shape his early artistic development. His earliest works reveal the strong influence of Giovanni Bellini and Giorgione. During this period, Titian experimented with soft lighting, rich colors, and poetic subjects. One of his early masterpieces, A Man with a Quilted Sleeve, already demonstrated his exceptional talent for portraiture and his ability to capture the personality of his subjects. Around 1508, Titian worked alongside Giorgione on the decoration of the Fondaco dei Tedeschi, an important building in Venice used by German merchants. Although most of the frescoes have been lost, contemporary observers praised the quality of Titian's contribution. This project helped establish him as one of the rising stars of Venetian art. After Giorgione died in 1510, Titian gradually emerged as the leading young painter in Venice. He continued exploring themes that had interested Giorgione, but he developed a more powerful and expressive style of his own. His brushwork became bolder, his colors richer, and his compositions more dramatic. In 1511, he traveled to Padua and painted a series of frescoes illustrating the life of Saint Anthony. These works displayed his growing confidence and his ability to tell complex stories through visual art. They also demonstrated his talent for creating movement and emotion within large compositions. By 1513, Titian had already attracted the attention of the Venetian government. He sought official commissions and gradually built a reputation that extended far beyond Venice. When Giovanni Bellini died in 1516, Titian became the undisputed leader of Venetian painting. One of the most important works of his early maturity was The Assumption of the Virgin, completed between 1516 and 1518 for the Basilica di Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari in Venice. This monumental altarpiece shocked and amazed viewers with its brilliant colors, dramatic composition, and emotional intensity. Many regarded it as a masterpiece from the moment it was unveiled. The success of the Assumption brought numerous commissions from churches, noble families, and rulers throughout Italy. During this period, Titian created many famous religious works, including altarpieces for Brescia, Ancona, and other cities. At the same time, he produced elegant portraits and mythological paintings. His ability to combine beauty, realism, and emotional depth made him one of the most sought-after artists of his generation. Wealthy patrons admired his ability to make his subjects appear both dignified and lifelike. Among his most famous mythological paintings are Bacchus and Ariadne, the worship of Venus, and the Bacchanal of the Andrians. These works were created for Alfonso I d'Este, Duke of Ferrara, one of the most important art collectors of the Renaissance. They demonstrate Titian's mastery of movement, color, and storytelling. His paintings of women also became highly admired. Works such as Flora and Woman with a Mirror reveal his ability to portray beauty with warmth and naturalism. Rather than presenting idealized figures, he often depicted women with realistic features and emotional presence. During the 1520s and 1530s, Titian continued to refine his style. His compositions became larger and more ambitious, while his handling of paint became increasingly confident. He experimented with richer textures and more complex color harmonies. A major work from this period was The Death of St. Peter Martyr, completed around 1530. Although the original painting was later destroyed by fire, surviving copies show that it was one of the most dramatic religious paintings ever created. The scene combined violence, emotion, and landscape in a way that anticipated later Baroque art. Titian's fame eventually spread throughout Europe. Emperors, kings, and popes sought his services. Among his most important patrons was Emperor Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire. Titian painted several portraits of the emperor, creating images that helped define the visual representation of political power during the Renaissance. His equestrian portrait of Charles V became one of the most influential royal portraits in European history. The painting presents the emperor as both a military hero and a noble ruler. It established a model that many later artists would imitate. In recognition of his achievements, Charles V granted Titian noble status and honored him with prestigious titles. This elevated the painter far above the social standing normally enjoyed by artists during the Renaissance. Titian also painted numerous portraits of princes, cardinals, nobles, and scholars. His portraits were admired for their psychological insight and realism. He had an extraordinary ability to capture both the appearance and character of his subjects. In the 1540s and 1550s, Titian entered another important phase of his career. His brushwork became looser and more expressive. Rather than focusing on precise details, he increasingly relied on color, atmosphere, and texture to create emotional impact. During this period, he began producing a series of mythological paintings known as the Poésie for Philip II of Spain. These masterpieces included Danae, Venus and Adonis, Diana and Actaeon, Diana and Callisto, Perseus and Andromeda, and the Rape of Europa. These paintings combined classical mythology with extraordinary artistic imagination. They explored themes of love, beauty, desire, tragedy, and transformation. Today, they are considered among the greatest achievements of Renaissance painting. Titian's use of color during these years reached an extraordinary level of sophistication. He layered pigments to create subtle transitions and rich visual effects. His paintings often glow with warm reds, golden highlights, and deep shadows. As he grew older, Titian continued to experiment. Unlike many artists who became more conservative with age, he remained innovative throughout his life. His late paintings display a freedom and energy that would inspire later masters such as Rubens, Velázquez, Rembrandt, and even modern painters centuries later. He also became highly successful financially. Titian invested in property, managed business interests, and accumulated considerable wealth. His success allowed him to live comfortably and maintain a large workshop capable of handling numerous commissions. Even in his 70s and 80s, he remained active and productive. His workshop continued producing paintings for clients across Europe, while Titian personally supervised important commissions and often added the final touches himself. His later religious paintings became darker, more emotional, and more spiritual. These works reveal an artist reflecting on mortality, faith, and human suffering. The brushwork became increasingly loose, giving many paintings a remarkably modern appearance. One of his final masterpieces was the Pietà, intended for his own tomb. This deeply personal painting shows the Virgin Mary mourning the dead Christ. It is filled with sorrow, devotion, and a sense of approaching death. Many scholars regard it as Titian's final artistic testament. During his final years, Venice was struck by a devastating outbreak of plague. In 1576, Titian contracted the disease and died on August 27th at an advanced age. Unlike most plague victims, he received a proper burial because of his immense reputation and importance. At the time of his death, he was widely recognized as one of the greatest artists in Europe. His influence continued long after his passing. Generations of painters studied his techniques and admired his mastery of color, composition, and human expression. Today, Titian is remembered as one of the central figures of the Renaissance. His paintings can be found in the world's greatest museums and galleries, where they continue to attract millions of visitors every year. His artistic achievements transformed the history of painting. Through his brilliant use of color, his ability to portray human emotion, and his constant willingness to innovate, Titian secured a place among the greatest artists who have ever lived. More than 4 centuries after his death, his work remains a symbol of artistic excellence and creative genius.